Okay, it's the 21st of May. It's actually election day here in Australia, and it's 8 days before I take off on my next little journey, which will be up to Carragini. But Tilly and I are out for a walk, and this is the Princess Royal Harbour here in Albany. And there is Tilly. So we've made our preparations for I've made my preparations for the next trip. And we'll be taking off on a week tomorrow morning. According to the weather forecast, we have virtually a 90% chance of rain for the next 7 days before I leave, and a lot of it is actually falling where on my intended route, which is one that we've done before on these trips. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 7 days and what it's like when I do finally take off. I had an interesting encounter yesterday in Albany as I was leaving the hairdressers. A chap called out to me and said, "Hey, I know you." And it turned out he was one of my subscribers on YouTube. It's a lovely fellow called Dallas from Queensland, Hervey Bay in Queensland. So he was travelling around and had popped into Albany on his way through. So that was nice to catch up with somebody that had been watching my videos and appreciated the information that I'd put down. So good luck to him. Hope you're having a safe trip, Dallas. Where Tilly and I walk. This is actually well, you could almost say it's the beginning of the Bibbulman track, which goes from Albany right through to Perth and is about 1,000 kilometre hiking trail. This is the first part of the track that you would encounter as you leave the city of Albany, and this is Muddy Bottom Creek. Tide is way in, because normally when you look out there in periods of low tide you can actually walk out on the sand flats. But we come down here virtually every second day or so for our walk, and it's very pleasant. We walk about 2 kilometres along here, back and forth. Very nice. I'm a week out from leaving on my next trip, and everything is actually all packed up now. The fridges are full and I've got them plugged into 240 volt. All the tanks and everything that my jerry cans etc, all full and packed away. Everything's packed away in the back of the ute. There are a number of little changes that I've made because I'm towing this camper trailer this time, which is under that cover there, but we'll show you that in a future video or a future scene. I have my roof basket up there, which I had to re-weld together because the rooftop tent took up some of the space on the front of that car, on that roof rack, and I welded it together, and I've actually put it together also at the bottom with some stainless steel zip ties. I have another roof basket up there which has my solar array, my camping chair, and also another mattress for that stretcher tent that's there on the edge. On this one I also have my toilet bucket, and around the other, there is a spade there too as well. I've got 2 or 3 of everything. Crikey, it's overkill. But anyway, that's it, all basically ready to go. I did put another awning on the side. Those who are familiar know that I left my old one at Wolf Creek Crater. I bought a new one, and I've still got the old one on the rear, and I still have my kitchen and all the other accoutrements in the back of that ute. This is a test run for this camper trailer to see whether it really is going to suit me or not. One of my subscribers made a comment some time ago that, hey, you don't use a CB radio or anything like that. But having thought about it, I've actually gone out and I've purchased one of these PLBs, which is a personal locator beacon. And this thing you register with AMSA, and if you're going hiking or whatever, you attach it to your belt with one of these things, and if you get into trouble and you find it necessary, you can actually set the beacon going, and they will it sends out your coordinates, and the rescue people will come and rescue you, but you only use it in case of a dire emergency. But I thought it would be a good safety measure to have one on board, and this particular one that I have, and I'm not recommending it, I don't know how good it is, but from all intents and purposes it's very good, and it actually has the longest life of any of them, and it supposedly goes for 7 years, so that'd be interesting. When I say 7 years, I don't mean it lasts for 7 years. It has a particular life apparently of up to 7 years if you look after it and you don't get it wet and you don't set it off and do all sorts of things. So interesting. It's like having an insurance policy. Even with all my preparations, I don't seem to have been able to reduce the amount of crap that I have to take, or I feel like I have to take. But I also now have checklists to the camper trailer setup procedure, for those who have watched the video on me doing that, and also the takedown procedure on the back. And also another thing that because I'm not that used to towing these things before going off, I've made out a checklist before driving off, making sure, of course, hitch and pin are in place, pin locker engaged, safety chains crossed over and attached, etc, etc, etc. These are things that I have realised that in the heat of battle, so to speak, you could very well forget. So, like a pilot, I've made out my checklist, and religiously I should stick to it every morning. Because one of the things that I did realise when I was even moving this within the property was I kept forgetting to release the handbrake. So that's a quite important thing. Anyway, we're going to find out next week when we take off. We might just do a quick walk round as I have just taken the cover off to have a look. I'm going to check that all the fridges and things are still working. We'll open up here. We have a big fridge in here, and got a cover on that one, so that's my sort of everyday fridge. And in there's a little bit of storage space, as you can see, and a lot of shit that I have to carry and think I have to carry in there. I also have a map of the pole setup for the annex, which I'm not actually taking with me. However, it's there as a reminder when I set the tent up that it has to go up in a certain sequence. I attached this new toolbox that contains my ratchet thing if I need to change tyres. There's one jerry can full of fuel on there. I've got 2 gas containers, 2 cylinders over there. Of course, you've seen the tent. I also have this Bailey step assembly, and I also put my Max Tracks in there just in case. Everything else, as you can see, is quite ship shape in there. And of course we haven't changed anything in this. This is going to be my freezer this time. I've got that set at -5, and it's full of frozen food right now. I've got all my other accoutrements and bits and pieces in there. Still got the old drawer system. They obviously won't work unless I disconnect the trailer, because we don't have a very big gap between the end drawbar and this stone guard. So if I want to actually use the kitchen in the vehicle I have to disconnect. But you know, that's a fairly minor thing, and I think I'd probably do it. One of the reasons that I'm trying to use this particular setup this time is to give me that extra freedom, that if I go somewhere, for instance if I go to Carragini, which I am doing, and I park the van, I can unhook, leave the van, lock the van up and go away and do the tours within Carragini, because there are some of them where you actually need your vehicle, and I won't have to set up a rooftop tent. That's the other reason that I am taking the stretcher tent as well, because if I decide to stay overnight somewhere at, say, another campground within that Carragini park or elsewhere, I have the freedom to do so. So having said that, I'm going to put the cover back on this for the next few days. I'll go in, put this on the computer, and I'll shoot it up onto YouTube and let all you people know who are interested that I will be taking off, and there'll be other videos to follow. Thanks for watching.